Hola moteros, it's Chris Cope, and I know what you're thinking. Boo! It's the American guy again.
Hey, just interrupting myself to explain to you what's happening in this video, because you'll notice that it kind of jumps around a lot. And that's because some parts of the video got corrupted. And so that's why I hadn't uploaded it. I tried getting in touch with Honda to see if they had the original video still, but they don't. And so I'm just kind of left with what I've got. I didn't upload it until now because, well, it's imperfect, but then I've been trying to grow the Dancing the Polka channel, and I'm trying to improve my editing skills. I'm trying to teach myself how to make better videos, and really the only way that you can learn is by doing, right? And so it's not perfect, but I've decided that an imperfect thing is better than nothing at all. I hope that's okay with you. So anyway, this video comes from earlier this year whenever I got a chance to go out to Portugal with Honda, and I rode the E-clutch versions of the CB750 Hornet and the XL750 Transalp. You can find reviews of both of those on dancingthepolka.com right now, but this is the video, and enjoy.
How this bike is different from 2023, there's been a few little tweaks. Probably the most obvious one is that the front cowl looks a little bit different. Now it looks more insecty, more hornety. That doesn't really affect how it rides, how it feels, how it performs. It was my first experience with this bike, with this platform, in fact, and I found this bike to be really enjoyable. Both of these bikes completely exceeded my expectations. You've got a 270-degree crank with the parallel twin, so it feels a little bit like a V-twin. It's very punchy. It's really enjoyable, but it's not threatening. Both of these bikes, not threatening. And I don't mean that they're boring or safe or dull or any of those kinds of things that we would say to kind of insult them. What I mean is that they don't scare you. They don't overwhelm you. They're not too heavy. They're not too powerful. They're not too extreme. And so as a result, I felt comfortable pushing myself on the road to ride in a way that you know, kind of pushes my limits a little bit more. Hello, scooter. I'm just going to leave that there and say that that's all that you need to know about the Hornet. The Transalp, meanwhile, this bike is so good. I hadn't realized how good the Transalp is as a package. It's an excellent, excellent package. And I realized that it's the same engine, but for some reason it feels punchier, it feels more aggressive, it feels more fun. Both of them have really nimble chassis and that you just enjoy yourself. But the big thing about these bikes, the reason I'm standing between two bikes talking about two arguably quite different bikes, is because the platform now has E-clutch. E-clutch has been around for a little while. They've brought it to this, and they're able to make use of the fact that these are ride-by-wire bikes, and so they're able to do a little bit more with E-clutch system. The system itself is just this bunch of, it's two motors and a bunch of sprockets, like about a dozen sprockets all kind of stuck here on the transmission. The home mechanic in me looks at this and just goes, oh God, like I don't want to deal with this. Because I assume you're going to have to dismantle it to be able to take out the clutch plates and all that kind of stuff. And it seems to me that you know, in about 10 years or something, the motors might go. Although I was talking to the engineers of Honda, and I was like, do you think those motors are going to, you know, kind of wear out after time? And they're like, no. But of course they would say that, wouldn't they? One of the arguments for the E-clutch system is the fact that it's a little bit more cost effective than the DCT. And with E-clutch, it's basically a glorified quick shifter. But to me, the biggest problem that I had with it, and it's not a problem, the biggest kind of thing that I struggled with E-clutch is why Honda has made this thing whenever they have DCT. It seems like it's sort of redundant. And okay, yes, there's a price difference, but I think largely it's kind of one of those, they've put it on there because they can. It's kind of like in Spinal Tap. Why do they put the amp at 11? Because the amp goes to 11. So why have they put E-clutch onto the bike? Because they have E-clutch and they can do it. And we're better off for it, because if you don't like E-clutch, you don't have to use it. The clutch lever is there. But Honda encourages you to not use the clutch lever ever, even when you're starting the bike. But it will really mess with your head whenever you first start to use the E-clutch, but eventually you get it. As I say, it's kind of like a really, really good quick shifter, but a quick shifter that you can use in first gear and a quick shifter that actually works. Most of the quick shifters that I've worked with, you have to make sure that you're in the right rev, and it never quite works as advertised. This works as advertised. A transmission as you know it, you change the gears, you just don't ever touch the clutch. So in first, one of the ways that it's beneficial is when you're in first gear. If you're sitting at a stop, you can have the bike in first gear. It's not going to roll until you twist the throttle. And so if you're, you filtered up to the front of traffic, the light changes and you can just go. You don't have to kind of pop the clutch, worry about stalling. I don't know if you've ever done that. Whenever you're in traffic, you get up to the front and you stall and you look like a fool. That doesn't happen here. That's one of the benefits. Another thing that I found is, this again speaks to what a terrible rider I am, but have you ever had this situation where you're going into a corner, you're going in and you're being aggressive, and as you're coming into the corner, you're kind of focused on braking and not dying, and you downshift and you do a really sloppy downshift. I've had this happen where I just do a really sloppy downshift and I let out the clutch and the whole thing hops and I throw everything off right as I'm going into the corner, screw it all up. The E-clutch fixes all of that. Any revs that you're in, you can change the gears and it kind of adjusts and it adapts to what you're doing and fixes all of your problems, so that whenever you downshift, it goes in much smoother. It's surprising. And so as a result, you ride with a little bit more confidence, a little bit more enthusiasm. And it's really a surprisingly enjoyable experience. You get used to it pretty quickly because, as I say, it's motorcycling as we know it. You just don't touch the clutch. Now, the thing that I was doubtful about is whether you would be able to use this off-road. And Honda was really keen to have us go off-road, so we went on sort of a fire road. And sure enough, you didn't need to use the clutch. If I was doing particularly difficult stuff, particularly nuanced stuff, I probably would want to use the clutch still, but that might just be me. But for the most part, the clutch is redundant, or the clutch lever is redundant. It's just there. To look pretty at this point. So it's a surprisingly good system. It works really well. It does what you want it to do. And it's just so Honda. This is the thing that kept coming to my mind with both of these bikes, both in terms of their chassis, in terms of the power delivery, in terms of everything. It's just set up. It's been a while since I've had a bike. I've been on a bike that I can't really criticize. And the Transalp is a bike I can't criticize. The Hornet, the only thing I can actually criticize is the mirrors. I saw a lot of my arms in the mirrors. That's it. But the E-clutch system just contributes to it. It takes a great bike and it adds to it. It adds to the experience. And the good news is if you don't want to use it, you don't have to. So there you go. That's pretty much it. To read the article in full. Reading is good for you. It makes you better. That's it. Bye.
Dancing the polka.com, that's the name of my site. Go to dancingthepolka.com, go to dancingthepolka.com to read about both of these bikes.